this year-end giving season. So when you leave today, you will understand the one mistake fundraising professionals make when they think about their year-end campaign. You will understand the 6 components that go into a great campaign, and you're going to find some out-of-the-box ideas to plan if you are tired of looking at a computer screen. All right, so the months of November and December are huge giving months. But when you are overwhelmed and overworked, putting the time and thought into the campaign doesn't feel like an option, but you must make it an option. In case you don't know me, I'm Alicia Mathis. I've worked in nonprofits for almost 10 years in administration, fundraising, and programs. And today I teach people fundraising strategies and activities who want to learn how to fundraise professionally. If you can't tell, my love is fundraising. I've created end-of-year fundraising campaigns that brought in at least $250,000. I understand all the moving parts of a successful campaign. I also know how to plan a campaign without feeling like you don't have a personal life during the holiday season. So I want you to understand that what we are talking about is possible. It is possible to build a simple campaign that brings in funding like you've never seen. It is possible to have a successful campaign and your sanity. So how would it feel to have a campaign that you are proud of, that's bringing in money, and you have room to breathe before the end of the year? So tell me in the comments how you think that would feel. See, I've put together $500,000 year-end campaigns that left my sanity intact and gave me room to breathe. So I know that it's possible. So let's talk about a misconception. I hear this a lot. I don't have time to plan my year-end campaign. We're just doing the same thing as last year anyway. Well, that's a mistake, because did you know that campaign pieces have a life cycle? I once worked for an organization where the life cycle was 4 years. I could do the same type of mailing or campaign for 4 years. And then we started noticing that the response rate and donation levels went down if we did the same type of thing the 5th year. So we had to change things up to keep interest. Now, let's talk about the 6 components to a year-end giving campaign. First and foremost, you have to decide your budget and goals. So your budget will determine what you're going to be able to do, how many pieces you're going to be able to put together. It may be that you only have enough funding for 1. You may be able to do 5 or 6. You may be able to get really creative and on a shoestring budget have about 6 or 7 components. It just depends. But your budget is going to help you decide what you can and can't do. Next, you're going to set your goals. So not just your dollar amount goals, which is important, but knowing your strategy to achieve those goals is often more important. So I once had a manager that wanted a dollar goal and a high response rate. So he thought that sending seed packets was the way to get both. I had been researching current trends in direct mail and was seeing over and over, people were reporting that freemiums, those free items mailed with the donation letter, had a higher response rate, but the average gift was significantly lower. So the research was indicating you couldn't have both. So talked my manager into doing a split test. One random half of our list got seeds. The other random half didn't. That was the only difference. And the results were just as I had predicted. The seeds equaled higher response rates and lower than average gifts. The non-seed recipients saw higher average gifts, almost 2 times higher, but lower return rates than the ones that got seeds. So understanding your goals and the strategies that will get to your goals is really important when you start thinking about your year-end campaign. Next, we have segment your donors to personalize your communications and ask. So there's different ways you can segment. One way is by giving them out. So maybe it's your major donors, your mid donor, and your getting started donor, and maybe just your prospects. But segmenting those donors will help you understand who you're talking to so that you can start tailoring different components to them in particular. Another segment may be by frequency of giving. So if it's a once a month donor, or twice a month donor, once a year donor, or just sometime in the last 5 years. I've done those too. And then a third segment that you might think about would be by demographics, especially age or generation. So this can be effective because you can create nostalgia pieces based on their generation. Now, I once worked for an organization where the majority of donors were from the World War II generation. So when I thought back to my grandparents' stories of Christmases during the Great Depression, which is the same generation, I realized that they had a common Christmas for kids of that time. A new pair of shoes and an orange. That was something that was a very common Christmas for kids during that time. So using the imagery in my writing and in photos of shoes, a new pair of shoes and oranges and stockings, it really helped me create pieces that took them back to their childhood Christmases. And since I was working for an organization that dealt with youth, it was a really good connection. And it connected on a level with those donors that no other piece could have done. All right, the next thing that you need to think about is how many pieces or touch points are you creating this year? So you may decide to create different pieces to multiple segments. You may decide one piece is all you have the bandwidth for, and that's okay. But whatever you choose, decide now how many touch points you are going to create. Number 4, what's your timeline? So printing takes time. Mailing takes even more time these days. So start with your in-home dates for each piece first and work backwards. It's an old project management trick. Next, what theme are you using? Themes are so important. It helps you create a very cohesive campaign. So just like everything else, your theme starts with your donors. What gets them in the giving mood this time of year? What is their language? How do they talk about giving? These are things that when you incorporate into themes can really make a difference. And keep it simple. Elaborate themes may miss the mark. Keep your message and imagery simple, even iconic if you can. All right, next, what pieces of content will you create? All right, there's a whole bunch of things that you can do, but you need to narrow down what you're going to be able to do in your budget and in your time constraints. So here's some ideas of things that you can create. So letters, appeal letters, they're always a good choice. So think about are you doing a letter? And are you going to need special letterhead or content for that letter? Emails, those are always good too. So what's your content going to look like? Then you have your follow-up letters. and emails. I always recommend a follow-up letter. I was amazed every time I sent out a follow-up letter. It would almost double the amount that I got from the initial letter. So always make that part of your plan. You'll also need some thank you letters. You'll want to tailor your thank you letters, your acknowledgement letters to your campaign. So make sure you've got those in the mix. Some things that I've done before are holiday or Christmas cards. These were sent to a very specific segment of our donors, and that can be highly effective. Another thing is, are you going to do special holiday edition of your newsletter? Are you going to use the theme and maybe pick some client stories that fit the theme to go into this very special edition? Are you doing blog posts? Is your organization doing blog posts? You may want to think about 4 blog posts that are going to enhance your theme. Social media. You always need social media. So what are you going to do? What little snippets are you going to send out? How are you going to connect with your donors on social media? And then maybe you're doing the Giving Tuesday campaign. It's always at the end of the year too. So are you going to be incorporating that? And how are you going to incorporate your theme? Or are you going to use it to kick off your campaign and maybe just do a thank you campaign? Or are you doing more than that? Always things to think about. All right, here are some outside of the box pieces, though, that I have done that is very interesting and gives you a little something different, a little variety if you need it. So, a catalog of needs or a wish book. If your donors are Gen X or older, think of a 4 to 6 page version of the Sears catalog. You're just going to pick some needs, put a value to it. How much would it cost to provide this particular thing? Put a picture, a little description, and make it like a catalog. Next, you're going to have Christmas cards made by clients as a major donor piece. Now, I worked for an organization that dealt with children and youth. We would have some of the children and youth create these Christmas cards and have a contest, and the winner got a cash prize, and we got this wonderful Christmas card that we were able to send to our major donors. It was a really neat little personalized touch just for them. Another idea, especially if you're doing something online, is a giving grid campaign. This could be just for your email only people, but givinggrid.com, I think is what it is, will they have different things that you can do to have a very different online campaign. So check them out. Just Google Giving Grid. All right, now it is time to map out your year-end giving campaign with the 6 components. So getting it on paper will help you organize your thoughts and ideas, and it will even help you set a timeline. So here are some out of the box ideas to plan if you are just tired of looking at a computer screen. So the first idea is a post-it party. Now, I love my office supplies. So a post-it party is a fun way to work. Find a wall or a long table and brainstorm ideas you want to incorporate into your campaign. You're going to brainstorm ideas that you must incorporate into your campaign. We all know there are certain things that we have to do. And then just do a brain dump, writing each idea on one post-it and sticking it to the wall or table. Now, and I like to use different colored Post-it notes because I'm just that way. But now you're going to create categories, pieces of content, components, theme, etc. And you're going to organize your brainstorm Post-its under each category. And it's okay to create subcategories too. So you will then start to see patterns emerging, and a picture will usually form of what the campaign is going to look like. Don't forget to snap a picture of your plan before you take up your Post-its. I don't know how many times I have forgotten to snap that picture, and I took up the Post-its and I was like, oh no, I don't remember how this looked. So take a picture. Number 2, a mind map. Create the big bubbles of a mind map with the different components that you're going to use. And then use the mind mapping strategies to answer the questions that you have. Use colorful pens or pencils to stimulate your creativity. And last, a large whiteboard. I like writing categories across the top, either the different segments I'm including or the different components I've decided on. And then I brainstorm into each category everything I can think of that fits that category. And this is from themes to paper specs to dates, everything. And then I can move things around until I'm happy with the picture that's formed. And again, don't forget to take a picture, because I can't tell you how many times I have thought I'm going to leave that up on my board and it gets wiped off somehow or other. So take a picture. All right. Let me look and see. If we have any questions. Nope, I do not see any questions. So we are done. I hope that you have enjoyed this. Lots of information that we've covered, and I will see you next time right here in the Nonprofit Fundraising Success Roadmap community or on YouTube.